we need better systems of supporting people not to come into hospital, which is our ambulatory models, and we need better ways of supporting people to have rehabilitation and come out again, which is entirely what our first phase of bed changes is all about.
I just wonder if this council can help or do anything. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think
it's an issue we're well aware of, Peter, and it's not an easy one to deal with, but rest assured we are doing something on it in terms of looking at the care homes issue with the task and finish group. Chris?
Right. I've been prompted to speak by Val's comment on maternity, because one of the other cross-border issues, which is not represented here today, but I have to deal with, is the cross-border issue with Worcestershire, because we have an equal proportion in the B50, B46, B everything else postcode area, which actually relates to the Alexandra Hospital at Redditch. Now, in my dealings with them, I heard exactly the same argument about maternity cover as we heard a minute ago. We can't get the staff, we've had to close it down, we've had to move out the obstetrics, we've had to do everything else. Now, I think it's important to a lot of people to have reasonably local maternity services, and this is a cross-border issue. And I'll explain why. Because in Diane's presentation, she did slip in that if there was pressure on whatever services there might be in Oxfordshire, there were hospitals in Coventry and Northampton, I believe, was in your presentation, that could actually accommodate them. We seem to be having the same argument at Redditch as we've had at the Hall over getting staff. And they transferred their maternity services to Worcester in a hurry at about 48 hours notice, not so many months ago. Now, if this pattern is going to repeat itself, it's going to have a severe effect on women that need to give birth that live in rural areas. Because if they're going to have to go vast differences, I don't know how far it is to Northampton, but on the odd occasions I go there, it seems to take a day and a half to get there, right? But the situation is that we're going to suddenly find ourselves, if this pattern is reproduced, with a handful of baby producing units nationwide, far less than the 44 STP areas that we've got, and this is not a satisfactory situation. You know, so I come back to my earlier point. If you can provide certainty of service delivery, then the career doctor will hopefully apply for the jobs at some of the smaller hospitals as well as the major ones. And it seems to me vitally important that we avoid this, you know, women having to go vast distances to give birth, and a few more stories about them giving birth in the car on the way, you know, however.
Comments?
Just quick to respond. So currently, before we had to make the changes, there were 1,400, 1,500 births at the Horton. So that's about 4 or 5 a day. Not all of those needed obstetric input. Obstetrics is a craft specialty. You need to carry on seeing numbers of births in order to keep up your skills. It is a sad fact that for some services there is going to be increasing centralisation. I would make the point that the only bit of the pathway that is being centralised is the birth itself. Yes, that's a really important part, but all the antenatal care, all the postnatal care can continue to be provided locally. But for some services, for very good clinical reasons, or in the case of obstetrics, both clinical and recruitment reasons, those services are going to have to be centralised. It is not envisaged they'll be centralised, so you only have one birth unit per SDP. If you look in our own SDP, which it covers Buckinghamshire, Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire, and Berkshire West, we've got 3 obstetric units. Each of the local health economies has got one obstetric unit. So it is not going down to the level of centralisation that you're suggesting. But in the interest of safety, there is a trade-off between access and closeness of facilities
obviously what Andrew's talking about is the obstetric births, but remember, mums have the choice to give birth at home or in midwife-led units, so it's not all the births. Better that we have a consistent and resilient doctor cover and equipment and SCABU and all of those things you need when you know that mum's going to need it. When you know that mum has a risk of a complex birth, better you know there's 24 hours of all of the things you need at the site when you get there.
Okay. Chris,
Chairman,
John.
I don't think you have to be a conservative to get a question answered.
Honest,
We've been indicating for a long time.
my apologies.
Please go ahead. We're on this, and apparently so is Justin.
Go on, Peter.
I'll give up my place. Kindly. I do have a question for Gillian, a specific question in a moment, but first on the cross-border issue. A number of people have raised really concerns about whether they will get treated at the court in the future. And I think that's partially the way this booklet is phrased, where it talks about patients might be treated from Warwickshire at the Horton, which I think is perhaps unfortunate. But can I ask, what is your long-term budget showing for treatment for patients from Warwickshire? Are you increasing the budget or decreasing the budget, and does that correspond with Gillian's budget?
Our CCG perspective, we wouldn't have a budget for Warwickshire because Gillian would have the budget for Warwickshire. I assume her answer will be similar to ours, is that our budgets are increasing. They're not increasing in any way speed, the length, the ability of things we can do with the budget, but they are increasing.
Well, I probably didn't put that clearly, but I understood from an earlier answer that you get money from Warwickshire for patients that you treat from Warwickshire. So is your budget for patients from Warwickshire increasing or decreasing?
So I think it was the Oxfordshire Trust. If the hospital in Oxfordshire is offering care, then they will get money from Warwickshire. The money flows according to the activity that is undertaken. So if the current births or the previous births that were done at the Horton from Warwickshire, money would have flown from would have moved from Warwickshire CCG into Oxford University Hospital Trust. If, as we anticipate, there might be around 300 births, say, moving up to Warwickshire acute services, then that money would flow with the patients. So the money flows with the patients, but it does come from Gillian's budget, not ours.
May I ask Gillian a question? Thank you very much, Sharon. The SDP for Warwickshire places very great emphasis indeed on prevention. And the County Council is just slashing its budget on prevention, on dietetics, on smoking cessation. That must be giving you great concerns, isn't it?
Well, the short answer is absolutely yes. It is giving us great concerns. But we do, across the whole of Warwickshire and Coventry, don't forget the plan includes Coventry. So there's two public health functions across Coventry and Warwickshire, with two directors of public health, and all the health and local authority bodies are all working together, which includes public health, on how we might more effectively deliver what's required in terms of prevention, from not just from the public health team, very much reduced budgets, you're quite right, but also from what can the county council do and what can the district councils do. And we have a work stream which is called Big Mouthful Proactive and Preventative Care, and that work stream is focused at the moment on the out of hospital programme, which is similar to what's happening in Oxfordshire, but it's a really big programme for us that's going to come to fruition at some point in the not too distant future, definitely this year. And the other big part of that programme is about how do we make the best of what we've got, which we all know is very limited in resources, but we are working through that programme with the County Council Executive, or the Health and Wellbeing Board, Executive for the Warwickshire bit, which does include District Council colleagues.
Thank you. I'm very encouraged, Chairman, that you mentioned the district council originally. I'm sure Councillor Saint would welcome an approach as to how we can help you.
Okay, Chris, John.
Thank you. A number of points. One, I noticed quite a lot of the questions that we're asking of the CCG seem to be diverted to the trust, which is, I thought this meeting was about the CCG, not about the trust, but there we go. Secondly, I'm still waiting for a response on the late publication of 238 pages of information and consultation which may be not important to you, but it's very important to those who are on the receiving end. So I would like a response on that. And then these videos, you've got four very eminent doctors, specialists in their field, who are based at Oxford, who quite rightly focus on excellence in service, and nobody is challenging, and nobody at all has at any stage challenging the quality of clinical care. But what we are seeing, and so those doctors on the video are quite rightly selling the best solution. But what they didn't have is any of the 40-something GPs in Banbridgeshire, to use that vernacular, who've actually objected to these proposals from 14 surgeries. All we've had is, I think, Dr. Paul Parks, who sits on the CCG, who has stated at the meeting that he represents the views of Banbury doctors, and he thinks it's all a jolly good idea. But actually, 47 doctors from 14 surgeries have signed a collective letter. They're not on the video. Why haven't we heard their view as to why they think this is the wrong solution? All we've heard is the very professionally PR produced, very slick production, rather better than the last one I saw, which I'm quite impressed with them, saying this is the only route to go. This isn't a consultation, this is a selling job. And when we ask questions about the 238 pages of data, I still haven't had an answer. So can we have a response as to when I'm going to get a response to my question as to why the consultation has been carried out in the absence of information? And secondly, can we have a response as to when we're going to be told by the CCG, not the Oxford Trust, but the CCG, what the views of the medical practitioners are in the immediate vicinity of the hall? Because I think they probably have a very good idea of what they want, and they, I think, are probably all qualified doctors. Last point. Of course you won't get any doctors going to Horton if you publicise you're shrinking it and cutting it down as quickly as possible. Nobody is going to take a permanent job other than an insolvency practitioner going to business that's shutting down. So that's why people aren't going to Horton, because they haven't got a career if they go there.
Okay, to respond to this.
Okay, so I mean, I haven't been avoiding the question. I think there's been a lot of questions to answer. In relation to the publication of information, it's always a judgment call about what information you put out there. We put up there additional fact sheets and information on maternity. We have put the full of appendices up later in the process. I don't know, Simon, you want to comment on that?
We on the website, it made it quite clear that at the bottom you could contact us, and if you wanted to access the appendices, we'd be quite happy to send them. One of the reasons why we didn't put them all on the website is that because they were so big, we didn't want to be accused of overloading the public with lots of information. So we have actually had people in that have contacted us, and we've been able to help. We recognise that that needs to strengthen, and that's why we put it on the website.
So this council asked for that information in December. We haven't been given it yet.
Should we follow that up? So somebody sent us an email or wrote to us and we haven't responded, is that what you're saying?
The invitation to David Steele to attend this, is it David Steele, David?
Smith.
Smith, sorry, was made in
Oh,
December.
yes, yeah.
In fact, a meeting which Gillian responded to the invitation and turned up, having provided the information beforehand, and actually we didn't have a response
Yeah.
from the OCCG and no information. So we have asked for it.
No, I
As
think
a
it's
professional body, I think we've got capacity to filter through the information. We still haven't, I still haven't had an email.
okay. No, I think we have to apologise for the lack of response in terms of coming to this meeting until today. I think that that was an oversight that shouldn't have happened. I'm not aware that you asked for those appendices, and had you asked for those appendices, then I would hope they would have been sent. I was asked for a copy of the presentation that was given to the CPN, and I authorised that to be passed on. So I'm happy to investigate any other bits, but certainly your request to us to come to this meeting, I am aware was overlooked and we should have come earlier, and for that I can only apologise. I'm not aware of any other oversights we've made, and I'll be really keen to look into them if we have. In relation to your question about the GPs, what we have as a clinical commissioning group, it's a membership organisation, exactly the same as Gillian will have. We have a series of localities. So we have a locality in the north called North Oxfordshire Locality Group. It has a representation of every single practice through a lead GP who is nominated by their practice to attend. They come to those meetings monthly. We also have a locality group in North East as well, similar setup. So every single practice represented, every single practice sends a GP. I am a regular attendee at each of the North and North East meetings. I've been there when the issue of obstetrics and the changes in required in Horton have been discussed fulsomely with all of those GPs. If you attend CPM, and that's a public meeting, and I would be very keen for yourselves also to join as a member and make a suggestion to the Community Partnership Network, which is currently chaired by Ian Davis, although I know he's stepping down from Cherwell as the chair for CPM. Really welcome you to get involved and come to that and hear the debates. We've had extensive debates. The Trust have presented, we've presented time and again at CPM, every single time with extensive detail in public, to which you're very welcome. CPM is set up as a partnership cross-border opportunity. So I would really encourage this council, if you're interested, to make sure you either come or as audience members, and you always get to speak in that forum, or you become proper members, which I would absolutely support. Going back to the GPs, if you have been at the Community Partnership Network last time, you would have heard both Dr. Paul Park and Dr. Judith Wright, who is one of the other GPs as GP from property practice, reflecting the discussions that we've had, and we have those conversations month on month in great depth with the GPs. We go through considerable evidence and detail in order for them to make the considered judgments. Last week I was there, we were looking again at the critical care units. They were asking questions about, can we really be assured about the improvements that this will bring? They had papers on the finances, they had papers on the critical care, they had papers on the numbers of beds. That group of GPs, and that's when you hear Paul Park quoting, sorry, this microphone seems to be going in there. When you hear him quoting on behalf of his locality group, he's talking on behalf of his membership practices. And we have had, and he has a very considered way of describing this, the GPs are very saddened to lose the obstetric service. However, they understand it's a necessary step if we can't make it safely staffed. And the letter to which you refer is 40 odd GPs from a range of areas outside Oxfordshire and only a few inside Oxfordshire. Some of those we haven't even had a chance to sit down and have the conversations with. So I know Clive, one of my colleagues, has had discussions with practices since as well. So I am confident that I have the mandate from the GPs in the North and the North East locality groups, understanding the issues in full. And whilst you wouldn't say they want them to happen, they acknowledge why we need to do that. And I think that, there are minutes of meetings, there is assurance in public, there's written documentation, all legitimised through those things. I have a letter which we did not have signatures on, and actually has never been received in the CCG directly, from a range of GPs who we have been happy to try and contact and have further debate with.
Come back.
Yes, please.
I'm sure, and I'm not remotely medical trained, but I'm sure if a GP is looking at a hospital without any or adequate consultant-led or mid-doctor-led services, that he or she is going to turn around and say, this is not a good idea to send a tricky patient to that centre. It goes back to, if you haven't got the adequate specialists in place at the hospital, it is a rational choice to make sure they go to a hospital where there is that service. The issue goes back to, why is there not a adequate qualified doctor support? And that is because nobody's going to join a hospital that's on point of being shut down.
Or more likely, when they're making a judgment about where and where they want to work, a doctor will want to be doing training, and the training accreditation got taken away because of the lack of number of births.
Hang on a second.
My name's Clive Walsh. I work on the transformation programme. I want to challenge what you're saying about obstetric services at the Hall. And the reason I want to do that is that I've seen this pattern being repeated in a number of places. In January 2016, Dr. David Richmond, who's the president of the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, he published a report, and he said in that report that if the obstetric services in this country were to provide adequate levels of medical staffing and to expand the hours in which they provided medical staffing so that the services were safer, that his calculation was that up to 20%, probably 20% of obstetric services in the country would have to amalgamate with other areas. That's partly a function of having a critical mass where you can support all the specialists that you need to provide a good service, and it's partly the attractiveness of going into obstetrics as a career. It is very unlikely that whatever the Oxford University Hospitals Foundation Trust did at the Hall, that we would get sufficient numbers of doctors to apply for posts there to maintain the obstetric service, in my view. And I don't want to offer you any false hope that there is something that we could do that would enable us somehow to find doctors who would want to do that. If I was a doctor in obstetrics, I would want to look for a post that offered me much wider range of training, better support from my colleagues, and a larger unit and a range of services that I could develop my skills in. It's not something that can be provided at the Hall at the moment.
Okay, thank you for those comments. I have John, Justin, yourself, Jenny, and then Jackie. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a rookie councillor having just come to post, my area covers along the Oxfordshire border from Farnborough, Shottswell, right the way around to Tysoe. And as far as I'm aware, and also as chair of Radley Parish Council, we've had no consultation, no paperwork through. And I haven't seen anything about this until basically coming to this meeting, when we realised just the seriousness of the problem.
Thank you. Very quick
Well, in
response.
the same way, I have to follow up and show you demonstrate what it's done.
Okay, Justin?
Yeah, we've had three answers on the obstetrics, so sorry, but just a quick one. I understand all the issues about training and recruitment, because it's not a training hospital and the size of it and what you need to recruit doctors and what they want if they want to get that job, if they want to get a job somewhere. Of course they want somewhere big with loads of opportunities. And it might be something you touched on earlier, Simon, about the word, you used the word hybrid. It was raised at the County Council, Warwickshire County Council, some weeks ago. Can't we, why can't these things be combined? You work 3 months in Oxford and 1 month at the Hall. So that's, why is that solution not possible? Because I presume we thought of it.
Yes, we have. So the training of junior doctors is controlled by something called Health Education England. They operate through regional deaneries, and it's the deaneries that make the decision. And in allocating training recognition, the deaneries do it by site, particularly for specialties where you have to be resident to provide that care. And so we are not allowed to rotate middle grades from Oxford to Banbury, because that training will not be recognised. And in the deanery's view, and the deanery was invited to come along to the Community Partnership Network, which is an open meeting of multi-stakeholders. You have a seat on it, Jackie comes along, and Michael Bannon, the postgraduate dean, was quite clear that he did not feel that the level of obstetrics at the Horton would result in the training of doctors who would have sufficient skills, confidence and expertise to be able to become consultants. What we are doing, and in fairness, it's partly in response to comments from Val and people change the rota so that the doctors who are recruited can spend a little bit of time at the John Radcliffe to try and make the jobs more attractive. So that's something that we have done to alter the rotas, because we can do it that way, we can't do it the other way. We can't have training doctors who've got training recognition work at the Horton, it's not allowed.
So, if it was allowed, so if the deanery could be brought on board, would that be feasible? Is that a conversation that could be had? I mean, it sounds like a national problem.
So we have had the conversation with the deanery, but again, you know, stepping back, you know, as I say, the deanery's view is that if you are only seeing up to 5 births a day, and only a small proportion of those need medical input, then your ability to get the skills during that part of the placement is very limited. So,
I'm going back to maternity again, sorry. Just a quick one with the appendices. Victoria Prentice has been asking for them for a long time. She couldn't get them either. I just throw that in. One thing, if you take away the Horton from being a consultant-led unit, a lot of our mothers are then going to Warwick. We know that the Alex at Redditch are also going to Warwick, so you're putting considerable pressure on Warwick Hospital. And also, in the second phase of the consultation, there's a question mark over whether the MLU at Chicken Norton or the Horton will continue to exist. So there's a big question mark there too. And we go about the low numbers of births at the Horton, but these have been gradually eroded away conveniently. So women with diabetes who used to be perfectly fine at Horton all of a sudden got whipped away to the JR, obese women got whipped away to the JR. And perhaps you don't understand that in a community-led, midwife-led unit, you can't have an epidural. So if you start going to labour there and you panic, you've got to be transferred by ambulance. If you get a grade 2 tear, you have to be taken by ambulance. So quite a number of the women that actually are living at the midwife-led unit are being transferred by ambulance. We've already had a baby that's been born in the back of an ambulance on the roadside at Killington. The baby was premature and got hypothermia and had to go into intensive care for a week. It's not a good system, but we also had a woman that stood up at the last meeting and said about her baby who failed to breathe for 22 minutes after being delivered at the Horton unit, who the baby was transferred, there wasn't room for her and her husband, so they had to follow behind in the car. We know that there's been a case only last week where the actual JR was struggling to take patients, and one more birth would have meant that they'd have had to close. So where would these people go then? The special care baby units also be taken away from Banbury, so if we get a mother that's in difficulty, they're having quite a traumatic experience when it should be a pleasant experience. This is welcoming a new life into the world, and we are damaging that process. It's just unbelievable, and the deanery thing with taking away the training accreditation, it is something that needs looking into, because we did suggest that the elective sections from the Oxford Hospital were brought to Banbury to make a good use of the theatres there. I don't know if any of you have been to the JR, but at the moment there's a temporary theatre in the car park, which doesn't look very good. It might be state of the art inside, perfect, and I'm sure that it's better than some of the pieces inside, but nonetheless it doesn't look very good.
I think you've made your points from
very quickly, responses to those. I'd like to pay tribute to colleagues at Warwick. We've kept in close contact with them right the way through, and they have been very supportive. We are aware of their plans, and they have made it absolutely clear that they do have capacity and that they are not under strain, and they have got plans that more than enable them to cope with the work. And you know, you don't think we will ask them. Obviously, there have not been capacity issues of the scale that Val has described, and we are confident that we are dealing with each of those. I cannot comment that it would be a disservice to all our patients by commenting on individual cases. What I would say is that every single incident that arises, we look into. We have a process of doing that. Then the CCG reviews our incident reviews, so there is an independent review of that, and indeed we are pilot participants in a national review of any incidents around birth, so we're more than happy. Val raises the point of transfers. There is no such thing as a low-risk birth. All the evidence shows that in any midwifery-led unit there will be a level of transfer of women. We are monitoring that very closely, not just for the whole. We already run 3 other midwifery-led units throughout the county, and so we've got good experience of running midwifery-led units, and I can assure you that the transfer rates at the Horton midwifery-led unit are no different from those at our other units, and certainly within the national guidelines.
Okay, thank you. Jenny, do you have a question? You don't? In that case, Jackie, then Hazel, then I think we move into wrap up.
You asked against.
Sorry?
A few asked against.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to pop back to the discussion around the GP issue. I think we probably need more information or work surrounding that, because when I attended the CPM meeting, the Partnership Network meeting on the 23rd of the 3rd, GPs were at that meeting, and they did, and they are accepting of the acute and critical changes, which we all see as a positive move. But they did also want clarification on those areas, that they were not accepting of maternity service changes, and they had the concerns around maternity care. So I think some conflicting information there, so do they have any clarity or some more probing around it?
Yeah, I don't recognise the last part you said, so what are you quoting from?
From the Community Partnership Network meeting, I haven't had the minutes yet, but the notes I made at the time, and,
Yeah.
and the questions from the floor that day, from GPs, the questions posed to GPs, are you happy with the consultation? And their reply was, accepting of the acute and critical changes in the consultation, but need clarification on those areas that I've just mentioned, but also they're not accepting of the changes to maternity service and do have concerns around maternity care. Now that was from a Now that was what I heard from the GP at the meeting.
All right, well, let's get Paul Park to write and clarify, because I think that, we obviously heard it.
I mean, I've obviously got this interesting part of Jennifer. I was obviously there as well with that, and I heard both Paul Park and Judith Wright say that they would, in the best of all possible worlds, they would not want the maternity changes to happen, but they accepted that given the circumstances that we were in, it was the best option, and for that reason they accepted.
But obviously translated differently, because I took it that they still had concerns, so it's probably an area we still need to probe.
Hazel?
Right, thank you. I've been flicking through this document, I haven't read it properly, but it actually says the big consultation, and it talks about consulting all the way through. And having listened to the debate, again, is that this whole issue is called consultation, which you're very much left with the impression that in fact you're telling you. So realistically, and at a very practical level, that all these consultations and the people you talk to, can they actually influence or change anything?
Can I just be clear, Hazel? You are not on the Oxfordshire border, are you?
No, I'm not. But if I closed my eyes, I'd have thought I was listening to the Alex discussion. Yeah, I would have thought I would listen to that. So I think it's a reasonable question. We need to know if, how realistic this consultation actually is.
I think your comments really arise from the fact that in relation to what we're bringing out in phase 1, there isn't a series of different options that we're suggesting. We're saying actually we think the way of solving the stroke problem is this, we think the way of solving the obstetric problem is that. And I think that's a really difficult dilemma, because it will feel like we're not saying you can have A or B, we're saying we actually think you need to have A because of this reason and that reason. Even if we don't have a range of options, we still want to and have a duty to consult with the public about it. This is a good question you're asking. Lots of people have asked us around what difference will it make if I say anything? How will it change? And what if 200,000 people rise up from the environs of Horton and say we don't like this, don't do it? Will that change anything? At the end of the day, we as a commissioner, and that would actually apply to Gillian as well in terms of her role of thinking about her patients who flow into Horton. The commissioners, which is why we have the lead commissioning and consultation responsibility, is are we going to commission a safe service? So the dilemma we have with, for example, the obstetrics question is, and you see a little bit of that in the consultation document itself, is what are the range of choices that we've got to make the obstetrics service safe for complex mums? And we have looked at the question that was asked about could you move the elective caesarean upwards, etc. The reason it will not necessarily feel as consultative is because it doesn't have a set of options. But what we are doing is talking to people about the dilemmas that we're facing. And the really key part of this consultation is there other ways of solving the problems that we're putting in front of you? And solving them in a way that we as commissioners can say, yes, we can commission it in that way. We can make it safe by commissioning it in that way. So my answer to your question is, you're absolutely right around the challenge, around how much consultation is there here, how many options, do I have choices? The choice that we need you to help us with is, are there any other things that we've missed where we could deliver the services differently or more safely?
Chris?
It'd be interesting to understand, or for this, the position in 2011, where we had Professor Stephen Kenneth, the Clinical Director for Women's Services at what was referred to Macklin Hospital, NHS Trust, and the name's changed, that service at the Hort will be brought in line with the JR in Oxford, rather than what we're now, 5 years later, seeing completely the opposite. We expect to see more patients being treated for Horton in Banbury as a result of these changes. More gynecological procedures that used to require patients to stay overnight using less invasive techniques could be done as a day procedure, which as a result would actually reduce the requirement for overnight beds at the Horton, but actually not reduce the capacity of the Horton, and this is not in that quote, but reduce the, you're reducing the number of beds, but you're not reducing capacity. Actually what you're doing is enhancing the service to local women with gynecological issues.
So, we have delivered that, and that is we have created a extremely efficient and effective gynecology assessment unit, and we have delivered that promise.
But that excludes the obstetric side.
Yes. Yes.
And is it normal for obstetrics gynae to be split?
It is not only, yes, there are many centres that are providing gynecology that can't provide obstetric care, yes.
15 years ago, there was a joint profession. Now, although there's a single Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, most practitioners going into the area now are specialising in obstetrics or gynecology. There are only a few of the older generation that are dual qualified.
Okay, any more questions? Sorry, any more questions? Or should I draw this one very last one?
Well, I've got two other areas I want to cover, Mr. Chairman, sorry. One of which relates to the consultation process, which I have concerns about. I assume that there have been a substantial number of responses already to the big big consultation document. Why was it necessary, or perhaps it wasn't commissioned by you, but why did researchers appear in the streets of Banbury at a cost, I understand, of over £1,000 to carry out a survey of to increase numbers of respondents? Did you feel that the general public responses weren't good enough? Because what I also understand is they were somewhat selective in who was allowed to respond. And can I confirm that before they responded, they were all given an opportunity, those respondents, to read this document in full? It seems rather strange when you run such a long consultation process, albeit without appendices, that you are now getting market researchers go out, and I understand, and this is purely hearsay, I understand that certain people who wanted to respond didn't fit the cohort that the researchers rejected.
Is it really a fair question?
Well, it's really what is going on with the consultation when you run a normal practice and suddenly you put in researchers in the street with a lottery prize if you get the right answer. How does that happen? What's happening?
So are you really asking if there are any supplementary consultation processes going on? Yes.
I'm asking why.
Okay, I'm really happy to answer that. So when we're doing consultation, it's really important we try and get a representation of the full public that we're working, we need to serve and who we're working with, whether that's people from, with different language, different literacy, different ages, all walks of life. And when you look at the general demographics of people, for example, who are coming to our consultation meetings, there is a sense where you're not necessarily getting sufficient representation of young people or people with disabilities. What we did with the additional research support was to try and seek out making sure we got more representation from younger people and from people with disabilities and different backgrounds. So we proactively were looking for people within those sorts of cohorts to support us, give them some information, ask some questions, and they would have the opportunity to take that leaflet away or be given some of the headlines of the consultation and respond to questions. So that was the ambition of that. I think we've had about 130 responses through that route. Meanwhile, we use other means. I've got particularly in my team, I'm very fortunate to have some workers who have some of the specific languages of in Banbury, we were concerned people wouldn't necessarily be able to want to read the signed documents. So again, we spend some time with staff targeting certain groups, reaching out to the Chinese community, different parts of our community to talk and explore. So that's us trying to reach in lots of different ways to get full representation of all our population group. And no, there was not a prize if you write the right answer, because there is no right answer.
Okay. Any last questions? I'll take that as go on then, Chris.
Yes, I've been staring at the consultation so far list for a while. Public meetings, 13 in Oxfordshire, 2 in Brackley, but it's still 0 in Warwickshire. I did raise this point earlier, I estimated the population
27,000.
of 27,000 in Banburyshire, as you call it. We were assured by Diane that various leaflets had been gone, but Councillor Feedley somewhat contradicted this, that he had come across no examples, right? And that, includes places like Shotswell and Farnborough, which are extremely close to Banbury, and therefore one wonders how we're going to compensate for this.
I didn't want to list every parish.
What we will do, I mean, I've been assured that we have been leaflet dropping. You're telling me that's not happened. What I will need to do is very rapidly look at what communications there have been, we think they have been, and then see, within the last weeks that we've got, what additional communication can be there. I mean, obviously, you can all communicate, you can tell people to do the questionnaire, you can respond as well. You've been active participants in the CPN as well. So we'll welcome any suggestions you've got, really, in terms of how we make sure that we get people's feedback in, and really look forward to your advice in that regard. So we can get back onto that early next week when we're clear about why we think things have come out and you think they haven't, and then what we do about it if you were to be right that there hasn't been communication.
John and Chris, you raised this issue. Any suggestions?
Well, I think to give members of LX 3 months to respond to these quite complex consultations, and give members of CV less than 2 weeks, because it won't go out tonight, that's for sure, demonstrates a lack of transparency with local CV, whether they be CV Doncaster, CV, whatever yours is, CV Wymit. They need to have the same amount of time. It may be a bit challenging, but they need to have, well, not really the same amount, they need to have sufficient time to absorb that, and given there's now 238 pages of appendices as well, they need to have time to go through the published information and decide what their response to it is. You can't do that with working people on less than 14 nights and weekend work. They have to be given an opportunity, otherwise they have not been properly consulted.
Well, that's based on your assertion that they haven't been there, so I mean, we'll take it away and we can come back next week and try.
Councillor St.
There's
Chris?
patients will get
Chris? Can you let John comment, please?
I've got a series of parish council meetings starting on Monday, and I know that what's going to come up is this very problem. I've got nothing to say apart from what we've just discussed, and they probably will not have seen any consultation documents. So it makes life difficult for everybody, and it's going to make life difficult because I can't say that we have been consulted in the area. Yes, across the border, but not in Shotwell and Farnborough, which really do march very closely with us.
Thank you for that.
Can I just,
There's also,
sorry, the presentation is on the website, so that's quite an easy way for people to assimilate the information suggestion.
There's also Braille's, which has an OX postcode. I don't know whether they've been included or not.
One of the other very pragmatic issues we've got in this district is broadband in some of the rural areas is not terribly effective. So, you know, it's just one more practical and pragmatic difficulty.
I would class them as a hard to reach group, Chair.
Sorry?
I would class them as a hard to reach group.
Indeed. Certainly on the internet. Okay, right. Time to draw this to a close. I think what we have probably all gathered from today is that there are some quite emotive issues here. I would say that does not only affect the boundary between Oxfordshire and Warwickshire, because what I heard at the Health and Wellbeing Board on Wednesday was some of the same emotions expressed about the changes proposed in Warwickshire. So this is not a real surprise that a lot of these issues are terribly emotive. There are particularly big issues in rural areas. I think that would be very fair to say, given the distances involved in actually moving to hospitals. In all honesty, it really does need extremely sensitive handling. I was struck by some of the comments that Hazel made about almost when is a consultation not a consultation. There are obviously some issues in communication on our cross-border rural areas and some issues there of involvement. These actually really do need to be tackled, otherwise people are excluded. It really is, at the end of the day, a big issue in terms of building trust and confidence. And one of the issues at the moment is it is far too easy, as we've heard today, to arouse suspicion.